wives of all which they chose. He said here, for they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Go ahead and read.
Yeah, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. And
the princes, meaning those who, men of renown, or those who have power amongst them, they the main ones doing it. So now, when he heard it, how did he feel?
And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment and my mantle, and plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard, and sat down astonished.
Astonished. You think about when they intermingled in the beginning, or in Genesis 6, hey, the flood came eventually. He understood that there was going to be some punishment for this. Verse 4.
Then were assembled unto me every one that trembled at the words of God of Israel.
Because they actually believed Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Go ahead and read.
Because of the transgression of those that had been carried away. And I sat astonished until the evening sacrifice.
And he sat astonished to the evening sacrifice. One more place, 1 Kings. 1 Kings. 1 Kings, the 11th chapter. See, you need to take heed to this. It's not just any wife. It's what kind of wife. Let's pick it up in 1 Kings 1. I'm sorry, 1 Kings 11 and 1. 1 Kings 11 and 1. And when you're ready, brother, let's read about Solomon, the wisest man to ever live. When you're ready, go ahead and read.
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
So he loved many foreign women. Women of who?
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
And a lot of these marriages he's making are marriages to establish peace in these areas. These are political marriages that he's making. The problem is that these women are unrighteous. Like, for example, the Zidonians. That's where Jezebel came from. Her father was king of the Zidonians. And they worship Baal and Ashtoreth. And so she was operating in that same spirit of Ashtoreth, where you want to basically bring the man into submission. That's what she was operating in. A lot of times when you see the groves, it's Ashura. That's what that is. You'll see the word grove, but it's talking about Ashura or Ashtoreth. Now notice, when another side note, when Elijah the prophet, when he had that contest between Baal, because Baal and Ashtoreth or Ashura go together, he killed all those prophets. He didn't kill the ones that was associated with Ashura and Jezebel. And Jezebel said, I'm going to kill you. He took off running. That's how it is right now. Things are out of order spiritually. What you're seeing manifested right now with men are in subjection to their wives and subordinate, spiritually, that's what's going on. Spiritually, Satan is using the woman and basically toppling the entire order that the Lord set up. But nevertheless, let's keep reading.
Verse 3.
You're going to guess, huh? Let's pick it up at verse 2.
Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
That's what he told you in Deuteronomy 7. Don't deal with them. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned his heart. So now his wives turned his heart. Where does Solomon go after? Verse 5.
For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father.
So now, because he's dealing with all these women, they turn his heart now, and he's going after Ashtoreth. Ashtoreth, again, is this fertility goddess, right? Or the Zidonians, of Jezebel. Then he dealt with Milcom or Molech. They were sacrificing their kids to Molech. You see how you could be turned and how you need to be conscious of what kind of wife? Now let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians is 6th chapter, or the 11th chapter, excuse me. 1 Corinthians the 11th chapter. 1 Corinthians 11th chapter. Because what is the order of this thing? Again, you have to have order. Let's find out what the order of the divine order, if you will. What is the order of things? This is 1 Corinthians the 11th chapter and verse 3. What is Paul, right?
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
He said, I have you know that the head of Christ, I alluded to this earlier, the head of every man is Christ. Go ahead and read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
And the head of the woman is the man. For example, look at, I talked about Jezebel. You saw that Ahab was in submission unto her. He said, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and what?
And the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Christ is God. So what is the order? Father, son, man, woman, and then child. That's the order of this thing. If you don't know that, you're going to operate in dysfunction. You can't serve the Lord properly. Particularly, I'm going to say this. Men, you cannot serve the Lord properly if you're not the head of your house. The spiritual head. And I'm not talking about you thinking you the head and the woman telling you, yeah, you the head, but I'm the neck. Meaning I'm turning you anywhere I want you to go. You still not the head. You a fool. No, I mean the actual head of your home. And women, you can't serve the Lord properly if you not operating as doing what He gave you to do, as help me, to be in submission unto your husband. This is Ephesians 5, and let's pick it up at verse 22. What does he tell them?
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord.
This is the order. He said, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. In other words, you would be in submission unto your husband like you would submit unto the Lord. Go ahead and read.
For the husband is the head of the wife.
He said, for the husband is the head of the wife. We just read that. And what?
Even as Christ is the head of the church.
He just like Christ is the head of the church. If you want to know how to be a husband, look at Christ. That is, it said Christ is the head of the church. And He is the what? The Savior of the body. That's what a husband is. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Therefore what?
Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ.
So now think about it. When every time we saw Israel sin against the Lord, they said, man, why they do that? It's women looking at that, man, they so rebellious, but they go home and they rebellious to their husband. You doing the same thing as Israel. As an obstinate woman. As a rebellious woman. He said, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be what?
So let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
In everything. Like submission is, it's predicated on whether I believe in what you're saying or not, or whether I agree. That is not submission. So, and understand what you're supposed to be doing as a woman. So, if that be the case, you need to really consider who you marry as your husband. Why would you marry a man that is not going to try to fulfill what's written in His word? Because you need to find a man that understands that how he treats you, the Lord is looking at that. And our sister called us some time ago. She explained her situation. I said, I want to get married. I said, he don't believe though. No. Why are you getting married? I don't know. That's good crickets. Matt, what you ask for then? You gonna do what you want to do anyway? Don't ask me. Let's keep reading.
Verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church.
So now this is the order. What is the man supposed to do? He's supposed to love his wife. He's not supposed to love his wife, talking about hitting her eye and say, you know I love you. No. Husbands, love your wives, and He gave you the pattern or the example. Even as Christ also loved the church and said what? And gave Himself for it. Let's keep reading.
That He might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word.
So now He cleansed it with the washing of the water by the word. As spiritual head, you need to actually impart spiritual understanding to your wife. That He might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. That He might what?
That He might present it to Himself a glorious church. Not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
Go ahead and read.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
One thing about Christ, what He did with His church, when He brought them into the wilderness, when He prepared, He set the circumstances and the situation in which they could serve the Lord. They just decided not to. They were in rebellion. But a man should make it to where the woman can serve the Lord properly. He fosters the conditions for that. But let's keep reading. We read this already. We go ahead and read.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth it, and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church.
Go ahead.
For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
So he took you back to the beginning about being one flesh. Go ahead and read.
This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church.
You want to know about order in the marriage? You want to know what you should be doing? Look at Christ and his church. If you're a man, you're supposed to be acting like Christ. If you're the woman, you're supposed to be acting like a church that is obedient. Verse 33.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself.
Even as yourself. Go ahead and read.
And the wife see that she reverence her husband.
This is balance. But is this what's going on today? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the side note, and men understand where they, hey, men, I talk to brothers all the time, and they, man, it's so much disrespect. Men as a whole have capitulated and given over their power to women. They have been indoctrinated and propagandized to do so. Now, the powers that be did that to society to control society. I say it's satanic at the root because it destroys the order that the Lord set up and breeds sin. Patriarchy protects all of society, protects women and children. But when you remove your protection, now you are susceptible. When men are not acting in role of head, spiritual head, just like Adam did not, you saw the chaos that ensued. That's the first lesson in the Bible. Let's pick it up at 1 Peter 3, and let's pick it up at verse 1. What does he tell?
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
Okay, so now he's talking in context of one that doesn't believe, but he's telling wives to be in subjection, and that you could even, if you operate and play your position, then he may even look at that and be convicted in his very conscience. A lot of times, one might say, well, I'm not playing my position because he's not playing his. No. You look at a football game, the lineman can't look at the wide receiver who's dropping passes and say, you know what, forget being center, I'm going to go over there and line up against the cornerback. That's not going to work. Why? Because you're 350 pounds. And you run a 5'2", 40. You're supposed to be on the line. Right? You're not a wide receiver. You have to play your position is what I'm telling you. But let's keep reading.
Or they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear.
So now he should do what? He should observe your chaste conversation or manner of living coupled with a godly fear. Go ahead and read.
Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel.
So now, is it about what you look like? Today, this is all women are focused on. Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting their hair and of wearing of gold. You about to walk into a wall because you on your phone looking at yourself. It's not about that. That's what you're looking at. What is the Lord looking at? Go ahead and read.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price.
That's a great price to God. Having a meek and quiet spirit. Loud? No. Talking about what you ain't gonna do? No, that's not what it's about. That's not the position he put you in. Go ahead and read.
For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves.
Being what?
Being in subjection unto their own husbands.
Then he took you back to the holy women of God. Like you want to call yourself daughters of Sarah. You want to call yourself a virtuous woman. Are you though, for real? Because one thing they did, when you look at Sarah, they submitted. For example, Sarah, let's read this.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are.
As long as what?
As long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
So wait a minute. It said even as Sarah obeyed, calling him, talking about Abraham, She obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. Go ahead and read.
Likewise, ye husbands.
That's good. That's good. It said, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Let's go to Genesis, the 18th chapter. Genesis 18, and let's pick it up at verse 9. Genesis 18 and verse 9. Genesis 18 and verse 9. Does he need help? Yeah. So Genesis 18 and verse 9 says, and they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And she said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. Now this is in her old age. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Verse 11 reads, now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women, meaning she was past her time of bringing forth children. So it seemed. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself. Now she didn't laugh out loud, she laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed or old or become old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being also old? Right? So she laughed within herself. That's why he called him Isaac. Isaac means to laugh. Okay? So now, one thing it said, I'm good. Yes, thank you. One thing, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. But what is the word there? Lord. It means master. She was calling him master. I'm going to skip down to verse 17.